What's up, everybody? Johnny Disc Golf back with another off-season interview. This time I am joined by the robot chicken himself, newly minted Team Discraft player Chris Dickerson. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's a Tuesday afternoon, which means that Golden Gate Park doubles is about to happen. So about to see a bunch of my friends. And I heard that you actually have a disc golf event after this. What's going on?
Yeah. I believe it's the Dynamic Disc Winter Marksman League. Here in about 2 hours or so, I'm going to be going and competing in that.
Sweet. The double scene out here, it's winter time, so it's early doubles. Not a ton of the people can come out here, so I feel pretty good about my chances. But Chris, you at a local putting league, is that like taking candy from a baby? That seems like cheating.
So in my area, we actually have quite a few really good putters. So it is not like taking candy from a baby. They definitely hold their own and put up some pretty good scores. If people want to look at that, I think the league ranks certain areas, and I think as of last week we were number one in the league. So that speaks for like everybody that competes. So
Oh, I love
not
that. Wow. So holding it down for the hometown. It's let's talk about where you're at. You said, is it
Mhm.
Johnson City, Tennessee?
Basically, yeah.
So you have like Weston Isaacs, Zach Melton, all those guys, right?
So I haven't seen a lot of Weston lately. He's been doing his own thing with the poker stuff.
Yeah.
But Zach runs the league, and we've got a few more local pros that will show up and do that. So yeah.
Nice. Well, listen, enough of the small talk. Let's get to the reason for the season, Chris. The name on your shirt, Team Discraft.
Mhm.
Talk to me about the new deal. How do you feel like you're being compensated now that you left Prodigy?
Um, I feel like it's pretty fair. So um, I'm really looking forward to it, and I think we're going to do some big things in the future.
One of the big, headlines for a lot of the people signing contracts this year is publicizing that number. Is that something that you consider? Where are you at with that?
So just my personality, I like keeping all financial stuff a secret. I don't think it should be just talked about all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think for the good of growing our sport, I think these contract numbers need to be out there that way. I think the reason that Ricky got the deal that he did was because Paul, his deal was public. And now that Ricky's deal is public, I believe the next big deal will come about, and so on and so forth. I think, contracts being known as far as the number, maybe not the specifics throughout, but like the number, I think that is a good spot in our sport where we need to have that, publicized.
Mm-hmm. Well, the obvious question, what is the deal for you? It's we saw Kona with the $500,000 deal, Ricky with the million. Everybody's going to have a different number and a different value to that company specifically. But are you comfortable sharing those numbers?
I'll give you a ballpark number.
Perfect.
So it's, let's see, a little over $1 million for 4 years.
Oh man, honestly, I just love to see all the disc golfers who have been like grinding away for quite a long time really start to get taken care of and really start to get like the financial burden lifted from them, because that seems like that's half the battle on tour is thinking about finances, thinking about where you're staying, as well as getting the disc in the basket. Do you feel like relief in that regard?
Yeah, a little bit, because like what you were talking about, the reason that I didn't travel to the West Coast is because I've talked about it so many times. You might go out there, and if you place well, you're going to break even or you're going to make a little bit of money. But if you don't, you're just losing money. And that's something I still believe. I don't treat this extra money that we've gotten as just like, oh yeah, let's just blow it and let's do everything. So I think I'll still go into the tour as, being financially minded still.
Hmm.
I think that's something that's not going to change really, but that does allow us to travel to other places. And Discraft has really helped out with that by giving us an RV. So
Oh,
that
so
helps.
yeah, so that kind of ties into the contract. Is that are we talking like a little tiny C class? Are we talking like the big boy van that like Brian Earhart and Yuli were driving in for a while? What's it going to look like?
So it's exactly the one that Brian and Yuli had for a little while.
Oh, it's so nice.
So I was lucky enough that um, it wasn't really kicking anyone out of the RV. It was just unused last year, and as part of the deal, they were like, "Oh yeah, well, I mean, we have this just sitting here. If you want to drive it," and we were like, "Yes, please."
Yeah. No, I love that, man. I can't wait to see you guys rocking that thing. Is there going to be a wrap? Are we going to see like a giant Chris Dickerson face on the side of that thing?
Um, I doubt it, but um, I think in the next year or two, it will be rewrapped. Possibly,
Hmm.
it's up to Discraft, but if I had to choose, I would rather not have my face on the side of it.
I'm in the same boat, man. I love Ricky, but driving down the highway and you see the Ricky mobile and he's just staring at you, it's a little much for me, probably.
Uh-huh. So while I was driving the RV home, within the next few days, I had five or more people message me and say, "Oh, hey, saw you driving the RV. I won't tell anybody, but congrats." So, I
Really?
mean, without even having any likeness of mine on it, and it's just a Discraft RV, people still are going to see it. They're going to know. So, yeah, just some things you got to get used to, I guess.
Yeah, right. It's I imagine it's going to be slightly different, now that you're with team. So I'll get to that, the media responsibilities that Discraft might have for you. But let's talk about the timeline before that. I'm just curious, when did this? I, I'm going to preface this by saying I a year ago couldn't imagine you throwing any other brand of discs than your sponsor at the time. This was one of the more shocking turns over the offseason was you changing to Discraft. So
Mhm.
walk me through the timeline. Like, was this something you guys talked about last year? Was this something over the offseason that was like, you reactionary?
Um, no, not really reactionary. It I really can't discuss specifics, but um, it's something we've been working on for at least 2 or 3 months
Oh, okay. So is
before
that
the announcement.
okay? So that was pretty much like season was over and you were kind of ready to start talking with another manufacturer?
Um, kind of, but not exactly. It's a weird situation, and like I said, I'm not really allowed to say a lot of stuff.
Sure. And so I'm going to guess what the answer is to this next question, and it's totally fine if it is. But what did go wrong at Prodigy, if you can say?
Um, I can't say,
Okay. I'm going to,
unfortunately. Yeah.
no problem at all. It's kind of been the theme with some of the manufacturers that people are leaving is, maybe it wasn't totally expected on both sides, so everybody's just going to keep it a little bit close to the vest. But let's talk a little bit about where you're going instead of where you came from.
Okay.
Why Discraft? There was, I think there was speculation that you might be going to Innova when you announced you were leaving. There was speculation you were going to other places. Why Discraft?
So, um, the team manager Bob, I have talked to him for I want to say 5 or 6 years, and um, I've been approached with um, an offer a few times in the past, and it was basically the same thing that I was going to be getting, and it was just enough to be like, well, to switch up the bag and go through all the change and stuff like that. Um, it just didn't seem worth it. I wanted to be, um, let's see, what is the word? I wanted to represent the company that I was playing for, and I didn't want to just hop around from team to team.
Exactly. Hmm.
Um, loyalty. So that's why I continued to stay with Prodigy. Um, so whenever I felt like it was time to, part ways, that's why I went with Discraft. Is we have talked back and forth for years, and it seemed like the right fit.
I actually love that, and it's something that I actually respect a lot. Is like it's not about just jumping around trying to find the best deal for you in the moment. Like loyalty and being proper partners is important, and I actually love that. That's good to hear. Probably not the same sentiment as other players, just kind of jumping around. What's been your experience on the media side of things? Because just off the top, you guys, the video came out where you met with Paul at the warehouse doing giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a different mindset or like a commitment to you in that regard? Like, are you guys going to be doing a lot of different media? Was it just a one-off?
I believe that wasn't really specifically talked about, but it seems like there's going to be a good amount of media produced throughout the year.
Perfect. What has been like how have you been treated at Discraft differently than you were in the past? Or is there a difference at all? Like communication wise, I mean, you're joining a team with a lot of top tier players now. A lot of players make the opposite switch. They're at a
Mm-hmm.
team and they don't feel like there's enough room for them to get specific treatment. So they shift to a company that maybe they can blossom more just themselves. You kind of almost did the opposite. Could you talk
Right.
about that?
Um, let's see. So, yeah, the transition has been pretty easy. Um, I joined the Discraft page on Facebook, the team page, and another page. And
Mm-hmm.
I have gotten so much support from team members, from just people that are in the Discraft community. There's a specific type of disc. So, like a ESP Challenger OS, I think they ran them for the 30th Memorial, and that might have
Mm-hmm.
been really the only run. And I feel like that was a disc that I would like to throw. I think that would be my go-to throwing putter. And the Discraft community was so helpful with reaching out and saying, "Hey, I have a couple of these. I'm willing to either let you have them or we can make a deal." And yeah, just to be able to hook me up with this that I'm looking forward to using, and I feel like it's going to be one of the staples in my bag. Is just an awesome thing.
Yeah, it seems like the Discraft specifically has like a fandom and a community around it that really is nationwide at this point, especially since Paul came over. Obviously, that changed things, but Prodigy is very regional. Like I'm in San Francisco and I have a couple of Prodigy discs. There's a sponsored player, Chris Boswino, and other than that, haven't seen a Prodigy disc within 500 miles of Golden Gate Park. Did you feel like there was better monetization options? Like you're gonna have a signature series buzz that's been posted. How do you feel about that compared to maybe having your name on Prodigy discs to sell?
Um, I don't know if there's too much of a difference. It just really goes to um, what people like.
Mm-hmm.
So if they happen to like one more than the other, then one's going to sell more than the other. But what I have noticed is that just people that are not necessarily like brand loyal,
Mm-hmm.
just they people that have liked me as an athlete, just in general, they have reached out and kind of said that. I've gotten a lot of messages that have said like, "Hey, I don't really throw much Discraft, but I'm going to be getting a few of your discs," and that's awesome to
Mm-hmm.
have people that are like that.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like now more than ever, we're getting to see those people where they're actually fans of the players
Mm-hmm.
first instead of the discs first. So love to see that. Let's talk a little bit about just the off season, wind down from the business aspect. You are sitting in a relatively new home for you guys, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I believe it was finished in March. I believe March or
um,
May.
so Yeah, I remember talking to Brittany specifically because she travels and she does photos at all the events, and we end up chit chatting. But like, it got built, and right as it got finished, you guys had to leave on tour, and you didn't really have a bunch of time to like get in, settle down. So, what has that experience been like? You know, you've had like 3, 4 months now to really dig in and live in your new house.
Yeah, that's been good. And like you said, right as soon as it got done, we had very little time to actually spend in it. And well, before we had to go out and tour and
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, we got to come back to it quite a bit throughout the year, but December was the first month that we were here every single day of the month.
Wow.
I mean, there were a couple other months where it was like 3 weeks out of the month. There were a couple where we just missed it by a couple of days. We've been here the majority of the month, and we made like a weekend trip to a tournament.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was kind of funny to hear Brittany say that December was the first full month that we were
That's
here.
wild. So what's the experience like? I mean, I know I remember it's a tinier home, but personally, and people who travel, like I kind of love that. Too much space can almost give me like anxiety. It's like more cleaning, more storage. You've been loving the house. I mean, you're still in Tennessee, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So whenever Brittany wanted to build a smaller house, I wasn't necessarily for that. I didn't want a huge house, but I wanted something where we had, some extra space if we
Hmm.
needed it. This is kind of the case. We have, it's about 806 square feet, I believe. So on the smaller side, like you said, we don't have a full like guest bedroom.
Hmm.
It's I think the term the builders used was like a flex space. So there's enough room for a bed. We have like a fold out
Hmm.
um, bed, and yeah, besides that, we have, yeah, she said it also doubles as our office because there's a desk in there. So yeah,
uh,
there's just enough room to call it like a bedroom.
Honestly, I'm in like the exact same situation. We live in kind of like a junior one bedroom in San Francisco, and I'm right now in the junior one bedroom. I've kind of transitioned it into my office, so I totally
Mm-hmm.
feel you on like rooms that are kind of too small for anything, but just serve as a nice little nook.
Yep.
Well, new home, new discs. We're gonna have to talk about it because everybody just is curious what you're gonna end up throwing. You said you liked those premium plastic Challenger OSs.
Mm-hmm.
What are going to be the staples? You know, are we going to be seeing forces out of you, nukes? What are we seeing?
Yeah, so we'll start with those challengers. The premium Challenger OSs, the premium Challenger SSs. Um, I'm going to be throwing putter line Challenger OSs and SSs.
Mm.
I think so. I will have a more base type plastic Luna in the bag for hyzer flip to turnover shots as it gets beat in. It's flying straight to understable now, but the more it beats in, I'll be able to hyzer flip it to turn.
Hmm.
Um, I think a premium Luna will kind of come in and out of the bag depending on certain shots. Mid range is the Buzz is the go to mid range.
Hmm.
Uh, Different plastics are going to determine the stability of it. The Buzz SS, I have a really beat in one of those. So that's going to be like the long turnover, hyzer flip to
Hmm.
turn mid range. Um, One surprising disc, I think, will be the Quake. So the DGA
Ooh,
Quake. Uh
yeah,
huh.
I'd love to hear that.
So the first time that I threw it, I was just like, okay, yeah. So that's overstable mid. Yeah.
Hmm.
I like the way that flies. So let's see if there's anything else I'm missing in the mid range lineup. No, basically just like the Quake, the Buzz, and the Buzz SS.
Hmm.
I've been trying out the Malta the last couple of
Hmm.
days, and it flies very similar to the Quake. So I don't know. I think I'm going to stick with the Quake, but I'm not 100% sure. um, Fairways, really like the Undertaker.
Yeah, who
The
doesn't? I mean, come on, it's classic.
Yeah, I think I've got like Sparkle Z Plastic, the Missy Gannon Tour
Hmm.
Series. Um, Very good for hyzer flip to straight shots. Um, I think I have another that's a big Z and it's a little more overstable. Just haven't beat it in enough yet. Um, Besides that, I'm throwing a few different or a couple of Onyxes. One
Hmm.
ESP that's kind of hyzer flip to straight, and the other is a big Z, which is pretty overstable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really really liking the fairway lineup. The only spot I'm kind of missing right now is like all of those are I think 9 speeds.
Exactly.
So I'm missing slower, understable, and
Mm.
I think I'm gonna end up trying out the XL.
Whoa, very understable.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I need something that's gonna hyzer flip to turn,
Yep.
and I think that's gonna do it. I haven't messed around with one. I don't think ever before. So once I find them, I know they're not a very popular disc, so they're kind of
Yeah.
harder to find. Um, so once I find one, I'll have a better idea of like how that's going to work. Let's see. So that's fairways, drivers. The force is the go-to driver. Just different stability forces. Um, the Zeus is good for sidearms,
Oh. Hmm.
and the one I have, I've actually got a couple. One is hyzer flip to straight for sidearm and backhand. So if I throw it hard enough, I can get like hyzer flip to turn,
Mm.
longer distance shots. But I do have another one that's pretty overstable for a Zeus. So yeah, I'm gonna have to keep working with those and see like where that's gonna fall into the backhand category. But the one in my bag right now is predominantly sidearm. Um, I do have a Nuke OS.
Oh gosh, for just stupid overstable utility stuff.
Uh huh. Yeah, that's what I'm working it in for now. Like GBO or
Yeah.
DDO, Ledgestone, those top wins.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think
So
that's pretty much it.
I hear all these discs. It sounds great. I didn't hear any mention of a zone though, which if like every other person that transfers to Discraft is like, oh, I can't wait to throw the zone. I can't wait to throw the zone.
I completely forgot. I've got a zone in there. It's one of my favorites.
Okay, okay. I was gonna say because that's like a trident. That's like their bread and butter over there at Discraft.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great disc. Yeah, I think I've only got one in there now. It's a titanium zone, so it's
Mm.
a little beat in, and it's kind of like a straighter flyer.
Hmm.
Um, but I do have a few that are pretty overstable as well. So yeah, that it's going to be working its way one or the other in the bag depending on the course and what I need. But I'll
Um.
always have one.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like mandatory. You gotta have a zone in the bag. Um.
Mm-hmm.
Your signature disc is going to be the Buzz.
Mm-hmm.
That has historically been Paul Macbeth's or one of his suite of 35 signature discs that he has. How did you get that? Was that part of like how they swayed you to come over? Because that seems like a big ask to take one of Paul's like bread and butter discs.
So the way Discraft has worked in the past is you can have. So, for example, Paige Pierce has the Undertaker as a signature disc, and so does Missy Gann. So,
Ah, okay.
so you can have multiple people on the same disc. Usually, it's different plastics. So, I think Paige's was just the normal Z plastic, and I'm pretty sure Missy's was like the Sparkle Z. So,
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
mean, it's slightly different. So, I think Paul's name is on the ESP. Buzz, and the run
Mm-hmm.
of mine that just came out happened to be ESP, but it was like a newer plastic blend that they wanted to try out and see
Mm-hmm.
what people thought of that. And um, I think the tour series is going to be different plastic than that, but we'll have to see.
Okay, gotcha. So we'll still probably have Macbeth buzzes and now just
Mm-hmm.
Dickerson buzzes as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a little bit more clarity in that regard. Were there any molds that you like, through years of Prodigy were like, gosh, I wish I could throw that. You see people on your card throwing it and you just wish you could, but now you finally can?
So before I was a sponsored player, I had this really old Buzz. I think it was from 2008. Um, just the Z Buzz, nothing special about it, but I remember throwing it, and I really, really liked the way it flew. And
Hmm.
that's actually it's made its way back into my bag. Um,
Wow.
so not right now since it's winter and it's kind of cold. Those older discs they like to break whenever it's cold. So I've I had it in my bag when it was around 70 degrees or so,
Hmm.
but now that it's kind of cooled down, I took it out just so what if the worst were to happen?
Oh, I
But
love that. Bringing it back.
yep,
Uh, you mentioned it's a little colder right now. Have you been getting Tennessee though? You can play during the winter. It's not like so cold to where it's like Minnesota or something. Have you been comfortably getting out there and practicing? Your new bag.
yeah, for the most part. Here the last couple of days we have gotten, I would say, about 2 to 3 inches of snow. Um,
That's where I draw the line.
yeah, it's not bad, but it's also just enough to be like, do I really want to go play in it? Um, I did a lesson today, and I went out and I played around, and I kind of was thinking the same thing. I was like, dang, if it wasn't for the lesson, I wouldn't be out here right now. But it's warmed up to I would say almost 40 degrees today. A lot of the snow, at least outside the house, is pretty much gone. So
40 is downright tolerable.
yes, and I think tomorrow is supposed to be even warmer. So I'm definitely, it absolutely is. Don't tell me it's not. Brittany turns around and goes, "No, it's not." I can look it up right now on the Weather Channel app.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
I mean, I can.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on, hold on. Domestic disputes are gonna have to wait till we cut. It may or may not be warmer in Tennessee. Um, uh, I, let's talk about next season.
Okay.
You posted your tour schedule. Uh, as somebody who is in San Francisco and on part of the event staff for the OTB Open, I am mandated to ask which reason you've given this time to why you cannot attend, Mr. Dickerson.
Oh, Sean Jack, huh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sean Jack he comes through in all ways.
Yeah. So, yeah, the West Coast events still are not on my schedule, and sooner or later I may make it out to one of those. This year, it's just not going to be that year. There's no excuses so far that I can think of. I don't want to give you one of those BS excuses either.
Perfect.
I'll just say, it's not going to be this year.
All right. Well, hey, listen, fair enough. One of these years, we're going to just absolutely stack the West Coast with like 5 events. We'll get 2 majors out there somehow, and it'll force you to come out. But until then, we'll just have to catch you in the Midwest. Actually, one more event that isn't on your schedule is Europe. Uh, you know, it,
Mm-hmm.
is there, you're one of the best players in the world, so I would imagine there's at least a little bit of a draw emotionally that you might want to go compete over there. Talk to me about why you won't be flying over there, though.
So, yeah, getting out this past year and flying more, it's not near as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, the only reason I think not going to Europe this year would be because of like the COVID
Hmm.
stuff and all that. Because, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to tell which way it's going to go.
Hmm.
If it's going to die down or if it's going to, all of a sudden spike up. I think Simon last year missed the MVP
Hmm.
Open because he was over. I can't remember if it was Europe or Germany, but he was somewhere. Um, Came home and he had to quarantine for, I think, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough because I want to. To be honest, I don't want to be on a plane for that long, but
I
that's
feel you
really
there.
not the reason. It's more of like the unknown of the COVID stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally don't blame you there. Honestly, like I'm curious if last year we had all the plans of going and everything just got shut down. So like part of
Yep.
me is like 50-50. Do you even plan and like reserve a hotel and buy your plane tickets when there's seems like there's a coin flip chance that it might just go away anyway. So I totally don't blame you. On top of that, D-Glow and Idlewild are like almost right next to it. So it would be such a hustle and bustle anyway. Was that a factor as well?
It was in the beginning. Whenever we were making my schedule, that was the main reason that I didn't want to go. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you have very few days to get from overseas back to Deglow. And for us, it would have been coming home, getting the camper or the RV, and then going up there,
Oh
not
man,
just
that's even
flying
more.
directly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would take up a day of travel, not including the actual flight. So yeah, with that short time span between events, I really didn't want to do it, but Brittany was kind of pushing me to do it. And then, with the unknowing, yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of sealed it.
Is Discraft is Discraft like, you name your schedule, we'll support you, or did they kind of try and push you to maybe go to the West Coast events and go to Europe just as far as like being on the top team?
Um, no, they were okay with the schedule that I had laid out. I'm sure if I was going to be like, I'm going to play half of the Pro Tour events,
Yeah.
then they would probably be like, well, we're not going to
Yeah. Well,
support
this
you as
contract might
much.
be in half. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as of now, we both sides are pretty content with where we're
Hmm.
at as far as touring.
Well, listen, new year, new contract, new plastic. Do you have any goals, aspirations? We just started these DGPT awards, most improved player of the year, all that good stuff. Do you have any specific goals or anything that you're working towards this year?
As far as awards or anything like that, not really. Like any other year, I want to go out there and just give it my all and see where that puts me at the end of the year. But um, I want to be competing at all the Pro Tour events that I show up to. I do understand that, you're going to have your off days. And I experienced that more times than I wanted to last year. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to, continue to give it my all from, second card, third card, fourth
Hmm.
card, when those off days do happen. But, I want to compete just like I did at the Green Mountain Championship every chance that I get this year.
Man, I love it, and I can't wait to see you competing at the top. Players switching manufacturers is so like revitalizing. I feel like for like the energy going into the new season, it's like something I always look forward to most is seeing players throwing different discs. Do you think that there's going to be any lag time, between like getting back to, dominant fashion towards the end of the year? GMC was one of the highest rated tournaments of your season. Do you feel like there's going to be any lag time between getting back to that form this season?
Overall, I'm going to say no, especially with the beginning of the year being more open style courses.
Mm-hmm.
The discs that I have they're not as seasoned as what some others that I had been
Ah,
throwing.
good point.
So with more open courses at the beginning of the season, I don't think there'll be very much lag time. But as I break in discs and get to the more wooded section of the season, hopefully those discs will be broken in enough to, be able to throw the shots that I want to throw. And if not, I'll just have to force them to.
Well, Chris, listen, seriously, thank you so much for your time. Really, I appreciate it. I actually really enjoyed getting to sit down and talk to you. I want to give you a chance, though, to address the people out there, the fans. Anyone you want to thank? Any shout outs you want to give out?
Yeah. Shout out the sponsors, Discraft and Grip Equipment. And Brittany's grandparents, they always watch any kind of disc golf interview, disc golf podcast. So yeah, shout out to them. And there is one interesting fun fact. The high tomorrow is 47 degrees.
Oh my gosh, Brittany, Colin, this is bad. This is bad. Brittany, I'm sorry we had to do this. Okay. Well, listen, Chris, I appreciate your time once again. Shouts to everyone who watched this, but most importantly, the Dickersons, wherever you are sitting there watching this, or I guess, excuse me, whatever Brittany's maiden name is probably better, but her grandparents, thanks so much for
Yep.
watching. That's all I have for this interview. If you'd like coverage of all things disc golf, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.